Know what?
Your dog is alive!
You can't tell anyone. Promise?
Promise.
Victor brought an animal back to life.
With lightning and boom and something big is gonna happen.
Who's responsible for this?
I just wanted my dog back.
It's alive! That damn dog is alive!
It's alive again.
Again and again and again.
Yeah, boy. You know, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, man, this is a cool idea to bring your dog back to life, but I ain't never seen a dog that got hit by a car that wasn't like spaghetti on the road or, you know, a bunch of intestines.
Well, looking at how that dog was stitched up, I was like, did that fucking dog explode before impact? I've never seen a dog that fucking mangled. I mean, Jesus Christ.
What is that point where you go, you know, Victor, maybe you should let this one go. Yeah. You can resurrect the next one.
I know. I was like, and next time when you stitch up that dog, Victor, open up your goddamn eyes so you can see what you're doing, dude.
Yeah, next time get a hamster or a fish.
Yeah. Use staples.
That dog looked like a weenie by the time it was stitched back together. But man, you know, I love what Tim Burton is doing here. I mean, say what you will about Tim Burton. I hear people grumbling over Tim Burton right now, including myself. Well, I mean, we've always said that Tim Burton, he's cool, but Tim Burton is kind of cool when he's doing his own thing and with his own stuff. And I think that this is what we have here. Co-host and I were talking, and I was saying, you know, this is probably the best thing that Tim Burton, actually, co-host, I'm sorry, you said that. I'm stealing your words. You said it's the best thing that Tim Burton has done in a long time.
It is. It's like he's not working with somebody else's licensed property. So, yeah, doing his own stuff, he actually gets into it and doesn't reach that point in the third act where he goes, fuck it. He actually follows through on the story.
Well, you know that this is like this is pretty much a remake of a short he did.
Yeah.
Like way before his career even took off.
Right.
And I want to say that it was a short he did. I can't remember if he actually did it for Disney or not, but I think Disney ended up firing him after the fact.
What is this shit?
So,
Get the fuck out of here,
you motherfucker! You're using my film for this bullshit.
Yeah, it's funny how they did Tim Burton, because they were like, they probably called him late at night. Tim, how many times we told you do not use a studio for your own personal project? You know what? God damn it, that's it. Get out, leave these goddamn puppets up here. You security, get him out here. When he was gone, they're like, is he done with that short? Yeah, take that shit and let's market it. Gonna put it at the beginning of every DVD we put out there. Yeah, they
Mickey Mouse said, if it's not animated, I don't give a fuck.
Kicking over the table. Goddamn stop motion shit.
Yeah.
We don't do that shit here.
Don't do that, sir.
But you're right. This is before Tim Burton's career really took off. This was made back in, I believe, 1984. But the original, actually, we're talking about, you know, kicking him out for doing his own projects and stop motion. But this was a live action short before he was doing the stop motion stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, you know, I think this is about the same time that he was doing Vincent too. Do you remember that short?
Oh,
Vincent?
Yeah. It looks like if you watch if you watch Vincent, I mean, you can kind of see like this is like it's obviously a precursor to what this is now.
Yeah.
And I'm just shocked that he didn't do it earlier on. I mean, you think. I mean, how many years has it been since that came out? I mean,
well, man, that's that sort of thing. Sometimes a director will go through, they do stuff for so long, they have a long streak and not like sure, it's his movies have been commercially successful. There's no doubt about that. But artistically, a little vapid, you know. I mean, he puts his graphic touches in there. He puts his stamp on it, and yet ultimately you don't feel anything from the movie. But a director will sometimes go like, you know what? It's time for me to do a retrospective. I'll go back to my roots.
Before I fucking die.
Yeah. It's I mean, what Victor does with this dog is kind of what Tim Burton did with his own films. It's like, hey, I'm gonna just take this film and connect it to lightning and revitalize and bring it back to life.
But like I said, I mean, you can really tell by watching this movie, he really did have his heart into it. It's the first time where I've seen a Tim Burton movie with a beginning, middle, and an end.
Exactly.
Yeah. This is the story. It's very simple. I mean, it's influenced and it's it's a parody of and an homage at the same time to the 1931 that Frankenstein movie was released.
I believe
the one where they
so.
actually go like, it's alive, it's alive. Yeah, it's kind of an homage to that one. And it's a simple story. A kid we have Victor Frankenstein, who in this movie is about maybe a 10-year-old, 11-year-old kid.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a dog named Sparky. Now, Sparky is kind of curious, and when dogs get curious, they kind of tend to do stupid things like run out in the middle of the street in front of cars.
Like get themselves killed. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, son,
I'm curious.
That's called Darwinism. Let this one go.
You can't help but look at that dog when it's running around. Just think, man, that dog's really stupid.
It is. That dog is just dumb. That dog ain't gonna last long. And that dog goes run after a baseball that Victor hits out the park. It's funny. Victor didn't get it good at sports, but the day he hits a home run on his first time playing baseball, he's like, this is a great day. Oh no, Sparky score!
This is like the what if Babe Ruth. What if Babe Ruth's dog fucked up his entire life?
Yeah, that dog fucking runs out in the middle of a car trying to chase that ball, ends up getting hit. And as we just said, ends up getting split up in about 50 different parts, which you don't see. But we kind of get
son,
that.
your dog's over there, and over there, and over there, and there's some on the back of my shoe.
And you got some in your hair.
Yeah. They had to buy about 5 different plots at the pet cemetery for this dog. But the power of love, y'all. The power of love
and lightning,
no bounds. Yeah,
lightning too.
Yeah. See, the thing about Victor is before Victor got into sports, he was all into science. And so when they tell him like, son, Sparky, sorry, he's gone. He lives in your heart though. Victor's like, fuck that. I want the whole package. Fuck my heart.
He's like, do I look stupid? Nothing can live in my heart, you dummy.
But then when he's about to fall asleep one night, he just all of a sudden sits up in bed and says, science! So he goes out to the graveyard, digs that dog up, puts him up in the attic and tries to bring him back to life. He reads the Necromonicon or whatever it is and resurrects from no, he actually sees something where animals can be brought back to certain limbs. Oh, that's what it is. He's in class and he sees like frogs doing an experiment. The limbs can be set to move with electricity. He's like, well, shit, we have a lightning storm coming up. I'm going to put Spark out in the middle of the storm and let lightning strike him and bring his ass back to life. And that's what happens. Sparky miraculously does come back to life. The thing about Sparky is, of course, Sparky's all stitched up and everything. He can't let anybody see this dog, but as we have in these movies, Sparky gets loose and he starts to wreak havoc around town. And it's a cool looking movie. It's in black and white. It's a true homage in every way. And
it's gorgeous.
Yeah, it has a great style to it.
Yeah. No, I mean, it took me back to watching Vince, just what they did with the mood and the lighting to give you that kind of real creepy but fun aspect of the Universal, old, Universal monster, horror movies. They threw all that into this picture and, I was surprised by how endearing it seemed at the very beginning with Vincent and his dog, how they got that across, how much this kid really loved his dog, so much so that he's making homemade movies with his dog. Like Vincent's making monster movies with Sparky, and just the way that was done, I was floored how much they paid attention to detail. I mean, it's one of those movies. If you are a fan of this type of genre of old classic horror movies, I honestly think you're gonna fall in love with it because it was kind of hard not to. I mean, because they just got everything so right as far as the tone of it.
The tone is definitely there, and certainly the look, and you can see that Tim Burton actually cares about this movie or cares about it again, remaking the same movie. And it's funny because Victor, he's like a weird kid, except it's kind of tampered down by the fact that everybody in that town is a creepy kid. I mean, probably the best thing about the movie for me was just the designs on the other characters, how they're slightly based on Frankenstein and other Universal monsters, or they got other things going on, or the cat with the eyes that are looks like it's permanently being shocked for the rest of its life. And those things work really well. It's a simple story. And to be honest, it was just a little too simple for me to where I was like, yeah, this is really cool. I like the feel of it. But there came a point when I was like, man, I can't wait to see what else is going to do. And it was like, no, that's kind of it. That's all I got.
Yeah. I that's the thing about the movie is that a lot of things in the film are so much more interesting or larger than life than Victor himself. Victor's surrounded by tons of, well, not tons. He's just a gang of weird, eccentric kids. And all of them, as you said, Leon, they're all kind of throwbacks to the horror movie monsters from that period. You got one kid who goes around who talks like who talks like Bela Lugosi, you know, everything. Oh, did Victor bring his dog back to life? You got the other little kid that's Igor, and then you have some of the other adults in town, like Martin Short, who plays
he's 5 different characters.
He plays, and among them, he plays not only Victor's father, but Tim Burton is also doing an homage to other stop motion stuff. You remember Mr. Burgermeister?
Yeah.
The mayor who's kind of like a throwback
from the Year Without a Santa Claus.
Yeah,
Wait,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
No, I take that back. It's not that one. It's a different movie that has the Burgermeister.
It's a whole different movie you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah, which one's the one with
Meister Burger.
Yeah, who had the one that had the asshole who took everybody's toys.
Yeah.
It was like the fascist Nazi thing, you know.
It had a whole Nazi theme to it.
You know, my favorite character was who my favorite character in the whole bunch was.
Who?
That crazy Jap that got involved in this.
Don't I be like, hey man, Jap is kind of racist, but the way this kid is played in the movie, it's like, no, he's actually a World War II era Jap. He had everything except buck teeth and glasses.
I know. I was like sitting there, and when he started talking, for a second I started laughing. Then I was like, ooh, that's kind of racist.
Yeah, there's a kid. What a Victor's dog? I want to see the dog that kind of lies.
Where's the doggy?
Victor, I need your help.
I asked him first.
My problem bigger.
Yeah, he's right.
I was kind of cringing when that character came on the screen.
Man.
I ain't gonna lie.
I was like, holy
man,
shit, is this Star Wars Episode 1 all over again?
I was going to say, I'm glad they got one of those Trade Federation guys to do the voiceover for this kid.
Yeah, I don't know about
like
that kid.
Frankenweenie by an open fire. Awesome.
Yeah, I didn't know about that kid, man. I didn't like that Japanese kid. If I was Asian, I'd be kind of pissed. I'd be like, why the fuck are y'all doing that?
Well, you see, I actually liked him. Sure, his voice is a little
I liked
off,
it too,
but I mean, his character, though, as far as his character goes, you know, I was laughing my ass off just how like vindictive he was, what it seemed like, without doing much. But you know, as far as like the more interesting characters, I think like I guess the third part of the movie is where it really kicks into high gear, because all those characters, all his classmates, you know, the ones that are kind of paying homage to other horror icons, they come into play in a big way. And for me, that like, you know, yeah, I see what you're saying through the middle. It starts to meander a bit. But once that third act goes on, it picks up like tremendously. And I was like on the edge of my seat the whole time watching this movie. And I had the biggest smile. I mean, I had way more fun, honestly, with that third part, than I did with something like Paranorman. Because I tell you what, this movie does everything right as far as the comedy of the material. It actually strikes gold to where Paranorman, I thought, just fell flat. You know?
Wow. I won't say I completely disagree with you, but I do disagree with you quite a bit on that, in that Paranorman really like tried to do a lot of stuff and it didn't succeed in places. Like in the middle, you're right. It falls flat there, but it kept trying. It kept doing things where I thought this was like, it set the bar kind of low for itself. Like, yeah, it's succeeding because it's not really stretching. It's like, okay, you're giving me a story I've seen before and you're doing some new things with it. And in the third act, something does happen, because it is like, I'm kind of like at that point, right before that, I'm kind of like, all right, this has been cute, but I'm starting to fall asleep. Oh, good. This is something interesting. All right. You're waking me back up again. And I thought it was nice, but it never like it was never exultant to me. I was like, all right, well, this is cool, but you know, it's all right.
Leon, you suck. Dude.
You suck. Because Paranorman had a fantastic ending where they really went for it. And this does something cool, but it wasn't amazing.
See, I hated that Paranorman ending. Actually, I hated Paranorman. Just like I hate you.
Well, Victor's a weirdo. So what
You
do
leave
think
him
about that?
alone.
Yeah,
Why does all Tim Burton's characters remind you of Michael Jackson? He just should have made a Michael Jackson biopic before Michael Jackson died.
You will. Just wait. Hold
Wow,
on.
you-
Jesus.
It's gonna be all
You know
claymation.
what?
He just finished this one, asshole.
You're right. I mean, I look at Victor and Victor, the kid in the movie, Victor Frankenstein, the kid in the movie. he looks like Michael Jackson, man.
He's got those black loafers and white socks and flood and black pants.
That dead white skin.
Yeah, dead white skin. He's kind of like a soft-spoken loner.
And those big fucking eyes.
Big eyes.
Yeah.
He's misunderstood. I was like, dude, just make the goddamn Michael Jackson movie and be done with it.
And my favorite part is when the electricity hit and he went,
and his afro caught on fire.
And his hair caught on fire. Yeah, let's get a Michael Jackson stop motion movie. Fuck a live action biography. Get Tim Burton to do it.
Something I thought that was weird about this movie is how they made such a big deal about Winona Ryder. Like, even brought her in for the premiere. Mm-hmm. Her character's barely in it.
That's my one huge problem with it is, but she's the one who owns like the Bride of Frankenstein doggy that you see in the trailer. And there's some hint that, there's probably going to be a bigger relationship as the movie goes along with Victor and this girl, but they completely drop it. But I will admit, I kind of like that because I was worried that their relationship was going to become a really big part, just like, when you saw in Hotel Transylvania.
Yeah.
That was a problem. That was my issue with Hotel Transylvania, where I'm like, I really don't care about this couple. I care about everything else but this, because I thought the characters are far more interesting than what this little ridiculous, and I know cookie cutter relationship is going to turn out to be.
Yeah, I wish I could say that, but
they
set it up to seem like there was going to be something more with Victor. And when Winona Ryder plays the neighbor next door, and that character has nothing to do. Both those characters, they look like there might be some romantic interest there, or there
just
might
some
be
interest,
something
period.
Where they have to do something to save the day or something. They really absolutely do nothing. The real, the part of the movie that really kicks it up for me is, as we all have said, is the third act, where it just turns into a monster movie. I'm not going to say what happens, but it goes nuts, and it really does turn into almost an homage now to several monster movies, anywhere from Godzilla to Gremlins. I mean, and it's cool to see just because there's a little variety there.
It was a monster mash.
Yeah, they did the mash. But
Come on. Oh, I'm sorry. I did a little Richard there for a second. I don't know where he came in.
He's a monster of his
He
own.
is. I'd love to see little Richard bring back Michael Jackson and Tim Burton's next. Oh my God.
That's the scariest thing I've ever heard.
Wake up.
You're ripping me off.
Shut up.
Yeah, shut up and die. Wake up again already. But man, I really do like this movie. I like this movie a lot. I agree with everybody when they say that this is a very charming film that really captures the heart of which is something I think has been something that I think has been missing in a lot of Tim Burton films. I mean, there's true emotion here. Mm-hmm. Like I said, unfortunately, I think that for most of the movie, it goes in a very predictable way, which is kind of a lull for me in the middle. But the movie is spiced up just by so many different characters in here. I mean, you have the the typical Tim Burton, I guess, returning actors or alumni, people that he always uses. Like in addition to Winona Ryder, he has Catherine O'Hara, who does his mother, as well as a funny ass, clearly lesbian gym teacher in the movie. But the character that I like that he brought back, or the actor I like that he brought back, was Martin Landau. And what was that teacher's name?
His name is Mr. Rekruski. And that guy, honestly, he is like he is like one of those characters that is just so golden. Where, I mean, after this movie, I hope people won't ever forget his character, because I would love to get a toy of his character, because his toy, the model, I guess, was Vincent Price that they used to get his character down. And when you talk about one of the bright spots of this movie, every moment he was on screen, that fucking little puppet or whatever was just eating up scenery like crazy.
But unfortunately, the moments he's on screen are maybe two. I was like, wow, what a great character.
That's all you need.
It's not, because you say, like, I hope nobody forgets him, but I had kind of forgot him. If Martin Landau hadn't fallen off stage, I would have forgot that character was in the movie. Because I'm like, he's a great character who's like there, and I'm waiting for him to come back, and he comes back for just a tiny bit, and he's gone. I was like, why would you waste a resource like that?
Well, the thing with that character is that they introduce a theme. That's the other thing where I think Tim Burton probably tried to do too much in the movie. Not while at the same time not doing enough. And I'm not saying that it's a big fault, but that character he plays a teacher who's being kicked out of the school system for being too reasonable, too logical. You know, he's a man of he's a man of science, but he's an unforgiving man of science. He doesn't mind getting on stage and saying, you know, fuck you, you idiots. You don't understand science and therefore you're dummies. And I love that. And I wish they had played more with that theme. It's all because there's a theme in here about ignorance, and they introduced it briefly and then they completely let it go.
I thought it was really ballsy of them to write that in a kid's movie. I mean, it's sitting there. I was like, oh God, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of Republicans in this theater going, what the fuck is my kid watching now? Yeah.
I don't want you watching that
liberals.
science. What's the matter with you?
No, because they're too busy cheering that part on. They're too like, yeah, science sucks.
Yeah, science rules.
I would say that this movie, I know I'm in the minority where I'm probably going to say that this movie dropped the ball in a couple of storytelling places, the same places that I see Tim Burton kind of fall short in a lot of his other narratives. But I really did enjoy this enough to give it a high matinee. I wish that if I had done anything different in here, and I don't want to seem like, again, I'm trying to make my own movie, but I wish that Victor had just been a more interesting character. I almost wish that since he was supposed to be based on Dr. Frankenstein, that maybe there was a little demented side to him too. As it stands right now, he's almost a non-character.
I agree with you with everything. I mean, all the positive points you guys bring up, I do agree with them. It is a charming film. You can see Burton put his heart in it. It's got a great look to it. It's just that when it comes back to it, I felt kind of empty. I was like, man, I wanted more. But then that space, those 90 minutes, I've seen so many movies where you could do more. It's like, Paranorman, it really stuffed itself full of things to go on and look at. And it dropped the ball sometimes, but it would pick it back up and go like, hey, we still got more coming. And with Burton, he manages to miss a lot of the pratfalls he's had with so many of his recent movies. But there's still some things he's still repeating over and over. And it made for less of an experience. And I probably would have gave this movie just a regular matinee until seeing Hotel Transylvania. Because when I saw that, that's when I went like, see, that's what I'm talking about. So for me, this is a low matinee.
Wow. Well, maybe I'm going to be the one who's going to be wrong on this review where I say, wow, this is like the best thing Tim Burton has done in a long time. And it's because of what we said. He's finally put his heart into this project, and I'm sure it's something he's been wanting to do for a long time. Because I mean, you watch the original Frankenweenie, you can't help but think, wow, at some point somebody is going to do a stop motion animated version of this, and it's going to be Tim Burton. When, we don't know, but I'm glad he finally did it because you could tell there were characters in here that he really cared about. And yeah, as far as the character of Victor, I think if you would have had that kind of maniacal part to his character, he would have been just like his schoolmates. Like, I think the schoolmates represented that crazy scientist that he wasn't. Because at the heart of it is a kid who's just missing his dog. So I kind of got past the fact that he wasn't all that interesting. I thought he was just interesting enough because he wanted his dog back, and he actually made it happen. But other than that, I mean, it's just such a beautiful film. I want to see it again in the theater because, I mean, there's parts in the movie that almost brought me to tears, just how much these puppets seem to, emote, where actors I've seen in movies can't even do that. And that's always big for me. But I mean, I had the greatest time with this. And looking back at Hotel Transylvania, I will admit that movie was a bit more chaotic than this movie was. And this movie definitely has its slow parts, but I think, at the core of it, it's just a beautiful film with a lot of heart. And it took me back to my passion for Universal, old school Universal movies. So I'm giving this a hardcore, full price.
I guess, I suppose it's not shocking that a robot would have, feel more empathy with puppets than human beings.
Well, hey,
Now, you know what, Leon, you are right that they did Frankenstein, a lot of this stuff together. I always go on talking about Family Dog, and a lot of the designs that he had in this movie, well, at least of the dog, was taken from that dog in that show. That short Family Dog.
This movie is such a, to stretch the metaphor, it's a Frankenstein of Tim Burton's career, because I was noticing things from so many of his different movies, especially his older movies.
Well, I mean, think about it. He did Frankenweenie, the live action, before he did any of his movies. So when I saw Edward Scissorhands And at the very end of Edward Scissorhands, I was like, wow, he just ripped off Frankenweenie with the ending of how it went
I guess
down.
that's true.
Yeah.
So here we are 40 years later. He hasn't progressed and he's still doing the same thing. I will say something else. Like, I was almost like the message of the end I liked until it got to the very end. And I was like, oh, you totally undercut the great message you were delivering just now. I kind of don't like
What
that.
message was that?
Well, the message of like, hey, sometimes you gotta let things go.
No.
Yeah, I know. I know. Then looked over and saw co-host weeping. Teeny. It's like, oh, co-host. No, everything's okay.
No, it's not.
Shit, knowing how Tim Burton is after he hears his podcast, he might actually go out and try to dig up Michael Jackson and bring him back to life and to make a movie with him.
He's been biding his time.
Inspired
You know
by
what?
spill.com.
When it happens, it'll be like, I laid out my plans for you people over the last 20 years. How did you not know what I was going to do?
No, after
Well,
it's all
see.
over and said, we're going to be hiding because that movie's going to suck so bad. Like, I have nothing to do with that.
He'll say, shit, if I can't bring Michael Jackson back to life, I can at least stop motion animate his ass and see what we can do right now.
We can do better. Bigger.
Rise, Colossus, from your tomb!
Cool.
Victor, let's go. Hang on.
Mr. Whiskers is trying to tell us something.
Did you get that out of the litter box?
Oh my.